Hello everybody, welcome here or welcome back. I've got a mug in the way, so hello everybody, welcome here or welcome back, whatever the case may be. I'm out here with Scooby. It's warm, got a lovely breeze, it's a beautiful day if you're not out in the sun. We have extreme weather warnings here, and I hear a cicada. Are we into cicada season again? That seems very isolated. But anyway, I decided today I was going to do some Halloween kind of colors. So I've done purple, green, and orange. Every day is Halloween.
If I could change the world, I'd make it Halloween.
Just so you know. It is my favorite holiday for a number of reasons. It always has been, ever since I was a kid, where you could be whatever you wanted to be. And back then, you couldn't be yourself on regular days, so you ended up being yourself on every chance you could get. So I was a variety of me's on Halloween when I was younger. And often I will have a week of Halloween where I have a different costume every day. I don't have to do those things anymore. I could just, every day is Halloween. I can be what I want, when I want, because I am. I don't think that's a place you have to grow into. I think it's just a place you just are, and you just live and exist there, and that is fine. I like
big butts and I cannot lie. I like
things that are scary, even though I like to be happy. It's a lot of dichotomies in me, a lot of things that shouldn't go together, shouldn't make sense, but do. I just allow for it all because I don't have a choice. It's who I am. And one of the reasons I do really enjoy horror movies is horror movies is because they are really an umbrella category that can really go over any other genre and work, which is really exciting. And there's so many different types of horror. There's body horror and suspense and thriller, and there's what people are affectionately calling the torture porn and those kind of things that there's a little bit of something for everyone. And I remember seeing what I thought was a really good example at the time when I was younger was a Disney horror movie. I'm pretty sure it was Disney. Something Wicked This Way Comes.
New mother now.
This way.
Time to quiet these two chatterers. Time to still these two whisperers.
And it was really decent for being suspenseful and scary, but still something that was deemed okay for children to see. Although there are movies, like, I know that The Witches
One child a week is no good to me.
is sort of a family.
Is no good either.
That would be so traumatizing, I think.
I demand maximum results.
If I was a child,
Every child.
and I don't mean that in a bad negative way, just a factual, hey, this could be traumatizing kind of way.
Shall be rubbed out,
Because there were horror movies
destroyed.
certainly didn't
Every single child eliminated.
cause any
We can't possibly wipe out all of them.
problems
make myself clear?
Anyway.
Who spoke?
But I do remember sneaking downstairs to watch Phantasm on television. It was on Channel 11. So it would have been fairly edited anyway. Like, it would have been something where you wouldn't have seen much blood or anything like that. But it was those silver balls that had like the blades shoot out of them and things of that nature. I'm never going to be able to stop saying that. That really stole the show for me, and they traumatized me. I was afraid of silver spheres for the longest time, in a way that nobody could understand why. And that's just the way things were. But, you know, you realize how ridiculous it is to be afraid of silver spheres, and you grow up to go, oh, it's just a movie and that's not a real thing. So you end up working through the trauma that way. I also know a lot of people that have experienced a lot of, and I'm not going to go into details because it's their stories to explain and not my own, but they've experienced traumas, various traumas. And we've all lived through various traumas of one degree or another in our lives. I remember being traumatized by absolute nonsense sometimes, you know, because I was a child and things will traumatize you unexpectedly. But they watch horror movies to work through some of their traumas. So they watch horror movies about subject matter that is triggering for them, because they know it can't hurt them, and they know it's just a movie, and it helps them work through things. And if they have to shut it off, they've got all the power. They can stop it. And I think that's what they like, is the fact that they're in control of this trauma. And I could be wrong, but that's the way it is. When they express it, that's how it comes across to me. So that is my interpretation of them telling me and relaying to me why they subject themselves to things that people that haven't gone through the traumas are often uncomfortable subjecting themselves to. So it's not a black and white, cut and dry issue, different people's connection to the genre of horror. Sometimes my own connection to it varies. Sometimes I will be surprised by something. Something will trigger me in a way that I didn't know there was something there to trigger. And it allows me a chance to figure out more about what makes me tick and how to stay in control of my own thoughts, my own life. So I don't see horror as the negative thing that my parents would have seen it as. They didn't understand horror. They bought me Stephen King books and Clive Barker books and, well, virtually all the horror books that I asked for. Any book I asked for, they got me because I was reading, and that's all that mattered to them. They never really read themselves, so they couldn't set that kind of example, and thus they would also never know what I was reading. I'm not sure that's smart from a parental point of view. I mean, the encouraging to read is good. I would never want my children to be reading something I didn't know what they were reading, so that I could discuss with them how to process certain concepts and ideas that they wouldn't have any way to process otherwise. And that's not by shaming them or saying you shouldn't be reading this yet. It should be talking to them on the level of what they can understand and what they should understand, just to have it make some kind of sense and give it a context to their lives, not the overall scheme of the world. I think people make a lot of mistake that way. They go, oh, I can't talk to my child about sex, because they're going, sex is this huge, dimorphous, frightening thing. I mean, it's not a frightening thing, but it seems to be. And I think the conversation is awkward because they are thinking it needs to be bigger than it is. What I think is best is sit down and ask the children what they may know already. Ask them if they have any questions. If there's no questions, tell them something safe and easy and truthful, and be done with it at that stage. And then it opens the door to be able to talk about the same subject matter in, the next stage. But I don't think anybody should be jumping into, when a child is talking all the anatomically correct high school level information. But different children are different, unique. So what might be able to be talked about with one child a certain way is not good to talk with another child the same way. So when my sister and I were being punished, tangents left, right, and center. But when my sister and I were being punished, they had to punish us independently because they used to give us the same punishment. And me being sent outside was horrifying. I'd rather be in my room reading a book. My sister only ever wanted to be outside. She did not want to be stuck inside doing anything because she wanted to be out playing sports and doing things like that with her friends. So if they sent us to our room, only punished one of us. If they made us go outside, only punished one of us. So that we literally had independent punishments. And when I was being punished, my sister envied that, and so it was like extra punishment for both of us that way. So it took a while, but my parents realized that we are independent people and you can't just do a blanket punishment and expect that to have the same effect. So I think teaching children about intimacy and bonding and caring and that being on different levels of different relationships with different people could be useful, safe, innocuous knowledge to pass on that is informative and it is factual and it is genuine, and it will foster an environment of them feeling comfortable enough to bring questions to you that you can answer. And at no point do you have to bring up the awkward parts of it. Leave that for the children to bring up. And when they ask the questions, don't be awkward. Just go, what is the most minimal, basic information I can provide that will answer that question for them? And if you don't have an answer, say, is it okay if I get back to you on that? I'm not quite sure how to put this in a way that makes it easy to convey to you, or something along those lines, like whatever it takes. But again, that would be truthful. And I think as long as the answer is truthful, it's a much better circumstance. Now, I don't think I've told this story. I may have told this story, but I'm going to tell it again if I haven't, if I have told this story. My father he was watching, oh gosh, I don't even know the name of the movie. But I was there watching it with him, and he ended up saying, well, I guess one of the characters was talking about the clap. And my father started to laugh. And I didn't understand the joke at all, so I was asking, what's that? And my father was far too uncomfortable to talk about sex, and he felt that for him to talk about something being a venereal disease, he would have had to get into sex and all of this stuff, and he was not prepared to do that. So instead of telling the truth and saying, I'm too uncomfortable to have that conversation, or I'm not prepared to have that conversation with you, or anything that would have been factual, he said, oh, it's diarrhea. To which I started to laugh because I thought, okay, that's funny. And it made sense to me in the context of what was there. You didn't see anything, so it felt valid. I didn't think my dad would have lied to me. Well, a couple of years go by, and I'm now, because I would have been probably, I think I was in grade 8. I was in grade 9 in Oakville. So grade 10 was Owen Sound, and it was when I was at White Oaks in Oakville. So in Oakville, so I guess it would have been a year later, unless I was 7 when I was watching that with my dad, but it doesn't really change anything. In high school, there were some of the cooler kids laughing and talking about the clap, and I started laughing. And they said, "Why are you laughing? You don't even know what that is." And I said, "I do too. My father told me." So I proceeded to tell them what I was sure was the truth based on I didn't expect my dad to lie to me. And then they proceeded to tell me how wrong I was, and that's how I got my facts straightened out, facts checked, whatever the case may be. And I didn't think at the time that my dad didn't tell me because he was uncomfortable, because he never seemed uncomfortable with anything else. I just assumed he didn't know. So when I saw him next, all I did was go up to him and said, "The next time you don't know something, don't make it up." And he didn't have a clue what I was talking about. And of course he wanted to know what I was talking about. And so I proceeded to explain to him what he had told me. He goes, "I never told you that. I would never have told you that." I'm thinking, I certainly didn't come up with it on my own. I can tell you exactly the circumstance where I learned that from you, because I think a lot of times adults will say things to children not even realizing the things they're saying to children, because it's just, how do I get past this one moment? Not realizing that that moment is going to be carried with that child for the rest of their life. It may never come up again of any issue. People may figure things out on their own and go, "Gee, okay, well that calls that into question," but nothing embarrassing happens from it. But when you trust the authority figure in your life to be honest and truthful with you, and they're not, you don't automatically think it's because they're embarrassed. So I say, make sure you're honest. And if that means you're saying, like, "I'm not quite sure how to have this conversation right now, but I will find out and we will have it," like that would be honest. And children, they may not accept that, but at least there's nothing that's going to come back later and bite you on the butt, or them. No, that was good Lord, the way I go off on tangents. Did I leave anything disconnected that was supposed to be connected there? I don't think so. That seemed to have a natural flow. But the long story short, or the long story shorter, or the short story longer, is I really support Halloween. I'm not huge into Christmas. I don't dislike Christmas. I mean, holidays are holidays. I don't care what it's for. I am prepared to celebrate positive things with everybody positively, because that is the best way to get through life, is everything being as positive as you can make it, because it's not going to be 100% of the time. It just can't. It's not by design. And a lot of times when some people are happy, that happiness makes other people miserable. That seems to be just the way it is too. I'm assuming there's a reason that the entire world cannot be happy at exactly the same time. Maybe it throws things so out of whack the universe would explode. I don't know. I don't have the science behind me to know Whether something like that is technically possible, probably not in the words that I think of it as, but everything does seem to require balance, as we've had that conversation before. And I'm assuming that this is no different, that when somebody is happy, somebody else is going to be less than happy. It doesn't have to be they're miserable. I myself know that if I were happy all the time, I'd be numb to it the same way that, you get used to the temperature of air, water, like get used to anything. It would just be numb. Like you'd go through life numb if everything was happy. Because the thing that makes everything joyful to me is the fact that sometimes things aren't. And I try to find the joy in everything. But when the joy is there and I don't have to search for it and it's just present and surrounds you, that's bliss. And I think the world needs to strive for a little more bliss. So on that note, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. And until the next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.